was carrying drugs. Now, in the midst of all of this, I wanted to understand from you, what are the repercussions of these strikes? We did see the Venezuelans trying to raise this issue at the United Nations a while back. How successful do you think they would really be? Because Washington does not recognize the Maduro government. Washington also has a veto at the UNSC.
America, look, Venezuela is a small country in comparison to its size with the United States and its economy. The Venezuelans will just have to bear this out if, in fact, as it's well reported, that they're dealing with drugs, then at some point something will have to change in Venezuela. You can't, countries just can't go on allowing huge amounts of drugs to be produced and then exported, and that to be the revenue of your country.
Indeed, and we've also seen some rather strong reactions coming in from other Latin American nations as well, including Colombia. Colombia's president has expressed concern with regards to the US strike, stating that he hopes these tensions do not spill over to his country. We've also seen the Mexican president come out and state that she will not be participating in a summit hosting leaders from different Latin American nations, because an invitation had not been extended to Venezuela as well. What, in your assessment, are the concerns that these countries have?
Well, you see, these countries have huge drug cartels. All of them do. It's an open fact. You can go onto Netflix and see TV series about it. And their biggest market, and the biggest market in the world, is the United States. And United States has finally woken up to it and has turned around and said no more. Now, I can understand Colombia's problem, because Colombia is looking at Venezuela and thinking, well, once they've finished with Venezuela, we may have some problems. The Americans are going to pick on us. So, it's only logical that they'd start talking about this now. But, it's well known that there are huge drug cartels throughout South America. And it's, at some point, the Americans had to act. They should have acted maybe a long time ago. But now, but it's a very violent thing. These are not nice people, and they don't treat people nicely. I'm talking about drug cartels, and the Americans, I have want to stop it. They've stopped, they say they've stopped illegal migrants crossing the border. Now they want to stop drugs coming in, right? And best of luck to them if they can stop drugs. I mean, what a gift to the youth of the United States.
Indeed, and speaking of the transfer of drugs itself, we do know that a majority of the drugs are transported via land through US's border with Mexico. And there was a UN report that had come out a while back that stated that most transshipment of drugs takes place through the Pacific and not through the Atlantic or the Caribbean, which then is now being cited by critics to question the deployment or the increased deployment of troops in the Caribbean. What would your response be?
Okay, so when we had, under Biden, we had an open border policy. So, of course, if you're going to take drugs in, you could just go across the border. Now there's a wall, and now you've got the US military. So, if I'm a drug cartel trying to get my drugs into America and I can't get them across on the land route, I'm going to try the water routes. And I don't know if you've seen some of the footage, but they're high-speed boats. I mean, these are not, these are quite sophisticated, and you can actually see, all the packaging and everything wrapped in the boats. They're not fishing vessels or tourist vessels. These are there for a purpose, to try and get drugs into the United States. And, the Americans have said enough is enough. And of course, but my sympathy also has to go to the South American countries, because they have enough difficulties managing their own countries, let alone taking on very powerful drug mafia.
Indeed, and as you've put it, we have been seeing an increased amount of fentanyl being trafficked into the United States, it's in fact the #1 cause of death in the youth over there. I request you to stay on with us, Mr. Thompson, as we continue to track further updates, this time from Haiti. Now, the United States and United Nations have slapped sanctions on the former head of Haitian presidential security and the leader of a Haitian gang for their roles in criminal gang activities that have destabilized the impoverished Caribbean nation. The sanctions were placed on Dimitri Hérode, who was the head of presidential security when President Jovenel Moise was assassinated in 2021. He was imprisoned in connection with the assassination. Sanctions have also been placed on Kempe Sanan, the head of the Bel Air Gang, one of the many criminal groups that make up WAVE and Sanan's gang coalition. The UN Security Council unanimously adopted a resolution ordering all 193 UN member nations to freeze the assets of these two men and impose a travel ban as well. The resolution also imposes an arms embargo on Haiti. Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Charles Thompson. At the outset, I wanted to understand from you how might these moves now disrupt not just the activities of these individuals, but the larger criminal nexus as well?
Well, I'm at the moment in Australia. I'm quite far away from Haiti and the islands there. But of course, the Americans are having a zero tolerance on drugs, and they're enforcing it. And of course, drugs are not just coming from Venezuela. They'll be coming from Haiti and so many other countries. And the Americans want to put a stop to it, so they're putting their foot down. But unfortunately, you know, a lot of these countries have not had stable governments. They've had huge high crime. And even with the best intentions, maybe of some of the government officials there, it's very difficult for them to manage the situation by themselves. So the Americans have to get involved.
Indeed, as you mentioned, it's difficult for the local administration to manage the situation. You've pointed out to the fact that Haiti has witnessed political turmoil, but the socio-economic situation of average Haitians is also rather bleak. In your assessment, then, how can civil society organizations then step in order to provide relief to the ordinary people there?
Oh, that's a very complicated, and look, that's a very complicated issue. I've not been to Haiti, but it's a small island, as I presume. It's extremely complicated, it's extremely difficult because the infrastructure is simply not there in the country to give support to its own people. It's going to take many, many years. But for the rest of, you know, for the Americans, who are the big players in the whole region, until they can see that drugs have been removed from Haiti and they're not getting into America, I don't think we can expect much more. One would hope that some of the other countries around Haiti would also be giving some assistance and helping them, but it's a no-win situation for Haiti at the moment.
All right, so with that, I would like to thank you for taking out time, sharing your perspective with us on NewsX World. With that, viewers, we're shifting our focus away to the United Kingdom, where we're now learning that Prince Andrew has decided to give up his title of Duke of York after years of controversy surrounding his ties to the late US sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Now, in a statement, the 65-year-old royal says that he would no longer use the title or honors, acknowledging that the ongoing accusations against him were distracting from the royal family's work. Andrew, who stepped back from public duties in 2019, was stripped of his military titles and patronages in 2022 following the Epstein scandal. Although he remains a prince, he will no longer attend royal events like Christmas at Sandringham. Now, polls show that the majority of Britons support this decision to strip him of his titles. His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, will also lose her title of Duchess of York. Well, viewers, that's all we have for this bulletin. More news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned on NewsX World.